All right, guys. We had some technical issues with Crowdcast. It's like external software for streaming. So now I'm using the native's YouTube streaming service. So that's their YouTube Studio. I think the problem was the stream was created like a few days ago, and then this YouTube Studio couldn't attach to that one, so we had to create a new link. But for the next time, we have an idea how to resolve this. They made some changes before. Anyway, we are here now, so we can start already. I want to thank everyone for coming, for following our progress throughout times like this. So I think this time this community call will be just a little bit different. I will still go through the tech updates and what's happening in the background and the team and everything. But I want to start with my observation on the current state of the market and like the whole blockchain landscape, how it ties to the whole macro picture, and what is our like direction, how to go through these things. As many people know, I've been, and our team, like most of our core developer team, has been in this landscape for like uh, almost like 6 years now. So we've been through like a lot of ups and downs. We've seen like bear markets and bull markets, and in different times, the landscape has different mechanics. And what I've been saying back like even like 8-10 months ago when times were really good is I wanted to prepare the project to survive during bad times, and that's exactly what's been happening. And the good news is that we are very nicely positioned for that. But what happens usually is, as we've seen, not just on project level, but also on exchange level, on VC, on venture capitalist fund level. When the bear market comes, everyone can easily see which team, which project, which exchange was prepared and which was not. And what happens is the first thing is that the projects that are not very well prepared, treasury wise, they're not strategy wise very well prepared, they start getting they get very scared. A lot of internal problems, a lot of corporate politics is happening in the background. They start to downscale, as we've seen, like even a lot of exchanges, they started firing and letting off employees. Same situation with projects. With projects, it's actually a bit harder because a lot of projects during the previous cycle, they were like, let's say, an NFT or some gaming or metaverse project, and now, as we've seen, this trend has been slowly slowing down, and now a lot of these projects are afraid about their existence. They don't know if by the time the good times come, if people will be still interested in NFTs, etc. And that's why observing previous market cycles, usually layer ones, which are the core infrastructure, have been doing very well because they can adapt, and they're the infrastructure that can host whatever the users want next. So what happens right now is I have a lot of friends in this landscape, and a lot of their projects are in trouble. They're letting go of their people, etc. But we've been really prepared for this, so this is really not a surprise for us. And what we are doing, similar to what other exchanges such as Binance, which is also perfectly positioned, is doing, we are scaling up. We are increasing the sectors. The landscape has less noise, so we don't see some random meme coins that are not backed by any meaningful substance. They're not there. The competition is really like not there. It's like 80% of all these projects, they're not that active as they used to be. And this gives us an opportunity to be on the spotlight, to show what we are building and what we've built, where we are headed. And the even better thing is, it gives us like a bigger talent pool overall, so we can really get some high level talent that is otherwise very unavailable during bull market to work on the Reef project. So that's what's happening. We're very focused. We know our direction, and we are ready to like plow through these bad times, and we are actually we see some opportunity here for us, which will obviously pay off on the long run. while some other projects cannot obviously do that because they're very distracted in the background. They have issues with their direction, their trend, etc. And what we also do is we are trying to help some of these projects, projects that have very competent teams. We are in a position where we can acquire, we can help them with grants, we can basically also help other projects to navigate through these bad times. And obviously they get converted and they start building on Reef. So that's really good. So yeah, this is the non-tech kind of overview that I wanted to give. And then a little bit deeper about like our team and about our product and how our product helps also to navigate through this. So basically you have other layer ones that they a lot of the layer ones that are currently in the spotlight, they're pure EVM. They're like let's say an instance of the core Ethereum infrastructure, and they have like different parameters, maybe just some small modifications, like maybe a new consensus algorithm, maybe smaller block size, etc. But in the core technology is like 99% exactly the same. In our case, that's not what's happening. We are not like a standard EVM chain. We are a substrate chain, so we've built a lot of things from scratch ourselves. And what this allows us to do is, as we've seen lately, like a lot of blockchain developers, they want more options. They want to be able to deploy smart contracts that are not written for the EVM. They're interested in WASM. They're interested in Rust. So with our technology, we can adapt. We can add multiple virtual machines, and this means we can satisfy more developers. So if the developers need Rust, a lot of these other EVM compatible blockchains will not be able to deliver this because it's not the way their technology is done. They cannot upgrade, they cannot shift much. And that's what we've actually seen nowadays. If you guys see, like for like a simple update that in Reef it would be like a forkless upgrade and the user will not even notice. In other ecosystems we have like big countdowns. We have like all this like forking functionality that takes forever. And the reason behind this, why it's a big thing, is because they don't have like a built-in mechanism that will allow for upgrading. So they need to make a lot of like noise, so all the people that are participating in the landscape, they need to be aware that the system is forking and something else is coming. Let's say in Ethereum's case, this was the swap of the consensus algorithm. In our situation, we've did a lot of upgrades in the last few months, and it was completely seamless because we have the on-chain upgradability. So again, we're not just a layer one, but we are a very flexible layer one. So if you take a look at all these characteristics, like having like a flat organization, which wouldn't allow for a lot of corporate politics and distractions, then you have your layer one, and then you're like a very flexible layer one, so you can shift basically your direction based on what the market needs today. And as we've seen, if there was some project that would do NFTs 5 months ago, like they were a hot project, but now the users suddenly, for whatever reason, they're not interested maybe in NFTs as much as they were, and maybe they would be interested more into gaming. And now this project has a problem, like they need to pivot, they need to shift the direction. But now when they initially raised the money, they were an NFT project, and it's extremely hard for them to pivot, to navigate through the space, to raise money, etc. Well, we do not have that issue, and I'm super happy. I think our positioning couldn't have been better. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so that's basically my overview over the state of the market. So it has like obviously negative sides, but it also has some positive sides that we are currently capturing, and that's like a new talent pool, less noise, so we can be on the spotlight and we can really show what we built. So these are all really good things. Now I wanna switch to the tech side. We have so many things happening in the background, and then I will even give another comparison when I again back to the multi-VM. I can give another comparison with some layer ones as well. But I want to start with one thing, which is every ecosystem besides the blockchain technology, like you need a lot of tooling around it. You need tooling so that the developers are able to use your blockchain. So they need to be able to deploy smart contracts. They need to be able to verify the smart contracts, validate the smart contracts, even audit them, etc. So all of these tools are currently in other ecosystems. They're built by different teams, and these teams are not part of the same umbrella. So you have like one entity that's like the core blockchain developers, and then you have another and completely different developers that build the developer tooling, third company that builds the user facing stuff. And the user facing stuff would be, for example, like a wallet, a mobile wallet, hardware support. And all of these companies, they do not communicate between each other a lot, because they're just different entities. And it's like company number one is like, yeah, we only take care of the blockchain. Company number two, we only take care about the tooling, etc. So what happens with this, it's a bit similar to the Ubuntu operating system, where there is no unification. So there is a lot of communication overload, and all the products, they look differently. There is not a lot of consistency, etc. Well, what happens with Reef? All of these teams are in-house, and they're like a different sector, but they all communicate with each other on a daily basis. So what happens? We have the core team, the core blockchain team. They are the substrate expert. They write the code base in Rust. They're the ones that are basically the lowest level developers. This is the hardest talent to find right now, because it's just so hard to learn all of these things and need a lot of experience. So this is the main team. These are the ones that really make Reef differentiate from the other layer ones. And this team is the one that generates ideas for direction, what the users might need in the future, etc. Then we have the second team, which is like one level higher. And what this team does is they take care of the tooling. So they take care of the adapting the JavaScript library, which is used for interacting with our blockchain, the tools for deployment, like block explorers. And the block explorer is completely built from scratch on our own. As you guys seen, a lot of blockchains, they deploy like a managed version of Etherscan and then be done with it. In Reef's case, we have our own GraphQL protocol in the background, our own indexing, our own crawler. Basically, the whole block explorer layer is completely built from our own in-house team. And this has a lot of advantages. And what happens is now this team is working on improving the tooling, or of working closely with developers to help them to help and understand what their issues are, how can they write the code faster, how can they deploy it easier and validate it easier, or if they have more needs, such as like additional programming languages. And this is the team that then discusses that talks with the core team, and they're like, hey, look, I think the next step would be another virtual machine, because more and more of the new developers, they're asking for example, Rust support in smart contracts. And then we have the third team, again one level higher, and this is the team that is consuming the tools that the second team is building. And what this team does is this team is completely focused on UI UX. So for example, this is the team that built the wallet, the DEX, the extension, the support for all the hardware wallets, etc. And what we've done here is something that Apple did very well, is they unified the user experience throughout the whole ecosystem. So if you see the iPhone, you could see that if when you open the phone app and the messages app, everything is behaving differently. Like everything is behaving the same. Like they have the same buttons, the same transition, etc. So this is what we've been focused on. And we've released something called UI Kit. Users can actually take a look at it on UI-kit, kit.reef.io. And what happens here, this is like a browser for components. So if you scroll on the left side, you could see all the possible components that we've created. And then developers who are interested in building on Reef, they can just go take these components off the shelf, and then their dApp will look and behave exactly like our wallet. So what we've been doing lately is, besides finishing this UI kit, we've been injecting this UI kit in all our products. The block explorer is the last one that will get the update, but as most of the users have seen, the extension is completely redone. The wallet has like the DEX integrated inside. So as a user now, you can go in the wallet. What you can do is you can see your NFTs that you can buy them from Squid Marketplace or from anywhere else. The block explorer. So what happens is the block explorer would index that your wallet received an NFT, and then we'll inject it into like some internal database so that everything loads way faster. So you will see your NFTs, you will see your Reef balance, you can stake, you can enter in some of the bonds, you can directly swap directly into the wallet without having to go to a different page, allowing access to your extension to like a third party website. So everything is really unified. Like you don't really need to go anywhere. Even the chart, like the advanced version of the DEX, if you go under pools and you can click any of the pools, you will see like the more complex UI that's meant for traders, that's also integrated and again built with the UI kit. So what we're focusing on now is the next step is security. So as we've seen in the last few months, security has been like a big problem for a lot of ecosystems. With just one click on Ethereum, your NFTs can be wiped out by some third-party website. So it's a bit scary, you know. When we think about, when we brainstorm, we have like a user UI UX brainstorming sessions. We have one goal. When users are interacting with blockchains right now, they are afraid. They're afraid because they will click the wrong button and then their money are gone, their NFT is gone. They go on some website, they have to triple check the URL up there. If it's like some phishing website or if it's not phishing website, they are very skeptic. And obviously I'm skeptic as well, because this is your wallet, it's like your money. And if you give access to the wrong website and if you click the wrong button, your wallet is wiped out. And that's how a lot of users have been hacked. And honestly, I haven't seen much of an effort from one of the biggest extension providers to fix these problems. What we are doing about this is we are tackling this very systematically. So we first start from our extension. Right now, if a certain website wants the access, you need to enable the access. But again, a user would just click OK, and they still don't understand what the consequences will be. So what we are doing is we are creating some repository, some list of whitelisted dApps that need to pass certain criteria, certain quality control, in order for us as a community to approve this dApp so that it can be actually used by the extension. What this does on the long run is similar to App Store. If you want to submit an app on Apple, you have to pass the app review process. And what this does is it asks you a bunch of questions. You need to fill the company information. You need to create a lot of screenshots, and then you need to upload a version so that their testers will take a look. We're approaching this from a decentralized point of view, where we have like a group of people from the community that will be like the curators. So they will get to test the app on testnet. They will be like, okay, this app is not like a phishing scam, it's like a properly done app. And then in the background we'll do an additional due diligence, and then we can propose that this app and their domain is whitelisted through the extension. Meaning, what we want to do is we want to achieve that a user, they can do whatever as a beginner. They can click any button, and then we have to make sure that we protect them from them getting hacked. So this is what we are focusing right now on the UI UX side. And we are actually, it's not just a UI thing. We're as I mentioned, we're tackling this systematically. So this will go all the way to governance, and then with this we can easily say that we are the safest ecosystem out there, period. Like no other ecosystems will be able to compete with this, because we are still in a position where we can create this structure, and once you set it in place, then that it just continues further, and it cannot really be modified. It's like a part of the process. And why other ecosystem can do it? Again, the same problem. They have fragmented teams, so the core blockchain team doesn't care what the extension guys are doing. In Reef's case, this is all interconnected internally, and that's why we can innovate with things like this that on the long run will make the whole all the difference. So yeah, that's regarding the UI kit. I highly encourage the users to go and try out the updated extension. They can play with the DEX. There's like small pools. You can test out the advanced UI. You can go on Squid. You can buy some NFT. You should see if that reflects in your wallet. So external users testing is the more the better, is what we currently need. And then from here we can also like start forming external committee of users that will become like official testers. So these are the ones that will eventually curate which dApps are officially approved by the extension. So another thing now is what I mentioned, the developer situation. You have the biggest developer community right now is the EVM. People want to write in Solidity, but we've seen that the market share is a bit readjusting. So we have a lot developers that are interested in writing smart contracts in Rust, WASM, etc. And as I've been saying, we've been preparing for multiple virtual machines. Now I wanna add like one thing like on the overall picture, um, why we've decided to do multi-VM. So far, I don't know any blockchain that actually has like a proper multi-VM. What I do know is you have all these blockchains that by design are not meant to have multiple smart contract execution context. What they do is they add subnets. They add subnets, and in Polkadot's case, they add parachains. What this does is it's increasing the complexity of the project as a whole. You have like a lot more moving parts. You make it even more fragmented, and the other reason why they have to do it, especially the subnets ones, is they don't have, when they were designed from the beginning, they were not meant to have multiple virtual machines, or even the same virtual machine but with different parameters. They were meant to be this, and that's it. That's why I believe multi-VM, the fact that Reef is a modular blockchain allows us to add more modules, and in this case, the virtual machine is just another module for us that we can deploy through self-upgrading, so the validators don't really need to do anything. So this is a big advantage, and we are using this. And over time, what we want to do is similar to AWS. You go on, which stands for Amazon Web Services. This is the biggest infrastructure provider in the world. So if you need a database or like a website hosting environment or mobile testing environment, they offer this with just one click. So what we are working towards is basically achieve that, but for smart contract execution context, or virtual machines for smart contracts. So a year from now, let's say we have three virtual machines, the ones that are the most attractive for the developers, and then they can come on Reef. They'll be like, okay, which programming language are you writing your smart contracts in? Rust. They click there, and then they get the whole guide. How can they deploy their Rust smart contract? And what this does is very important. We will see another generation of blockchains coming during the next bull run, as we call it. And someone will be like, yeah, we invented a faster, better virtual machine for writing smart contracts. It has more capabilities. It has a lot more like mathematical operators, and Solidity is not really good at that. And then everyone will love it. And then the old, they will be marked as old EVM blockchains. They don't have the means to adapt to the new generation thing. We will be one of the first that will adapt the new VM. That's our advantage. And right now, the core team is working on two things. One is adding a new virtual machine, and the other one, which has not been solved elegantly in this landscape for like almost a decade now, it's a random function. So what I mean by random function is, for example, you have an idea to build like a let's say some bingo or some casino or something that would require like a true source of randomness. Right now, the only way to do it is through oracles. So then you have to go, for example, and ask Chainlink how they are deriving the randomness, and it's you still have to trust that they will relay that randomness into the proper form on chain, and it's not done natively. So what we are doing with Reef is we are adding another substrate module, because we are like that's our biggest advantage, and we are working on an interesting solution where we will create like one random function, which we will then inject into the Ethereum virtual machine, and eventually the other virtual machines, so they all share the same logic. What this allows is this opens doors for different kinds of dApps that I believe the users will love and the developers will love probably even more. So these are the two things that we are focused on right now, and I have a lot of expectations about both of them, especially I mean, both the random function and the multi and the additional virtual machine are really like a big update. And I think this will obviously this needs to pass a lot of peer review. It needs to pass a lot of auditing for us to deploy this, but we are looking to have those things live sometime next year. Another thing is basically besides and again the curated dApps are working with these. So when certain developers are using the random function and they deploy, let's say, some scratch card game, again, this needs to be approved by the community, approved by the curating team in order for the extension to allow interaction with it. On the BD side, on the business development side, I've been talking so far that Reef's focus was users. That in the traditional business they would market as B2C, like business to client. So you want end users on your blockchain. But lately, as I've been meeting more and more people from the fintech sector, they are interested in having like a blockchain infrastructure that will help with their daily operations in their fintech sector. So what happens here is very interesting because in the last cycle we've seen the rise of DeFi, and DeFi wanted to like recreate whatever the traditional financial sector had, but in a decentralized way. So that's what DeFi is. But there was not really like a proper transition between like fintech and DeFi, and I think from that sense, the DeFi failed a little bit because it couldn't attract real assets. It couldn't attract whatever is already powering our planet, so that they can connect together. What we are doing right now is we are talking to fintech companies, like big financial institutions, like brokerages and stuff, and they're interested in our infrastructure, but not to recreate everything in a DeFi manner, but to improve what they already have in the traditional financial world, but as some part of it to be blockchain based. And this is really good because that's a transition. So you have like these institutions that are big and they cannot shift drastically. They cannot be like, okay, tomorrow we're getting rid of this and we're going full on chain. They need step by step transition. And that's what I've been also focused on. I've been meeting all these people. We've been brainstorming all the possible ways how can we help them. And one very interesting angle that we are currently working on is in settlements and clearing. So they still do the trading in their current systems, but we're working on a tool for them which will help them do some part of it on chain, and this would save them a lot of money and time and complexity. So what's good here is that Reef is not just a user-facing dApp product, but it's also used for providing infrastructure to businesses. This is something that cannot be visible from the user's perspective, but as more of these institutions are coming and are interested in using our technology, they can see the advantage, especially if we are one of the first blockchains that will help them move a part of their product there. It's going to be a really big thing over the long run, because once you have the institutions, then everyone else is following. So yeah, the way I see it is that we want to be also an infrastructure for the current fintech sector, not just for DeFi, and this will really help us even more for the positioning. So that's regarding the ecosystem, what's happening in the background. On the business development side, I will not talk a lot because you've been guys following Twitter and our Telegram channel. You can see that we have more and more dApps coming. They're all deploying on testnet, mainnet, everywhere. We have the grant ecosystem fund. It's like working 24/7. We have teams everywhere covering this. Get as much exposure as possible, and then help get as many teams as possible to build on Reef and help them with whatever resources they need. So our BD front speaks for its own. I recommend whoever hasn't followed us to like scroll in our Telegram group and our Twitter, so that you could see like all the upcoming dApps or user-facing products that are coming, and we encourage them. We encourage the users to test them out, and eventually, with this, they increase their chances to becoming a curator for dApps. We will have more on this program in the next couple of weeks, but that will really help not just the curators themselves, because they will become like a closer to the ecosystem, but also to the upcoming users, to be safer. So they basically, users are helping other users to get protected, which is really cool. uh, Another thing I want to talk about the Reef card is, as we've seen, the Reef card has been a big success. We have a few thousand users already using the card live, which is for this small time frame. It's really something that I didn't expect, this growth on that front. So what we are doing right now, we are working on increasing the number of regions. We are really pushing for Turkey, because we have, like, Turkey is one of our biggest community, and we want to support them with as many resources as possible. So I know that a lot of users want the Reef card there, and we are working to make it happen. And then the last thing I want to talk is the decentralization. So Reef is becoming more and more decentralized, which is great. We've seen the number of validators is more and more diversified. So Binance, for example, now owns around 10% of the validator power, and the number of tokens staked on the network is almost like 60%, which is a really high number, and that's really good. What happens, the more tokens staked, the less the inflation. So now I think we have probably the lowest inflation from all the layer ones that are in like a system with inflation. I think our inflation is around 5 something percent, which is better than the US dollar inflation. So that's really good sign. We have big players becoming validators, and then the adoption is increasing on the depth level. Adoption is increasing on the business to business level and institutions. Then we have the security is increasing, and then we have the innovation part, which is, to me, on the long run, is the most important and will make all the difference. So Multivm, ZK, and the random functions and stuff. So these are basically all the things. Again, I will just summarize one more time. We have the state of the market. We're positioned very well, not just runway wise, but also product wise. We're infrastructure layer one, which are projects that have been doing the best during bad times like this. We have like a very good internal structure, which allows us to stay focused. Not a lot of noise and internal corporate politics, which is really the most toxic thing that a project would have. So we are free of that. So we are focused on acquiring new teams, helping new teams, expanding team members, etc. And then we have all the tech updates from user perspective, protecting the users, and involving the community to help to protect the users, all the way to innovating the core stuff, adding multiple virtual machines, adding ZK support, adding random functions, which will allow developers to create completely different dApps. And then on the other hand, we have the debit card, which has tremendous growth. And then we have the B2B branch, which is like helping and providing blockchain infrastructure for the traditional financial sector. So all of these things combined, I'm really happy with the team. The whole project is becoming more decentralized, and yeah, we are getting prepared for the next wave of dApps. I think now you can guys ask some questions. I have some more time. I moved to my next meeting for like another 15 minutes because we were late with this one. And let's do the AMA. Okay, so no, Binance is not staking 10K Reef. They're staking a lot of Reef. I think it's close to 1 billion Reef. It's partially tokens that they own. Partially it's some of the users' tokens, so that they can enable staking on Binance. but they decided to have more than one validator, which is, in my opinion, like a big success, because 2 out of 23 is like almost like 10% uh, of the validator slots. The mobile app is very much in progress. I tested out the one of the versions. We are currently focused a lot on the functionality. So all the signing, all the security, the seed, the encryption, that's what's happening now. And we have the UI team, the UI kit team is now shifting to the mobile app. So the mobile app will not be like a web app wrapped into a native app. It's done completely from scratch, both for Android and iOS. So it will behave like a properly done native app. I have to check when can we release test flight mode, which is some of the users that are interested in testing the app, they will get some codes and they'll be able to install the app on their phone. But yeah, the app is very much in progress, and I think I'm very confident that we are going to release it this year. What is the advantage for Reef to provide infrastructure? Well, the biggest advantage is obviously they have a lot of value. Like all this, for example, if you look from clearing perspective, someone bought some bonds somewhere, and if some of these brokers do the settlement on our chain, that means that institutions are transacting value through our infrastructure. And what this does on the long run, you have these dApps and these DeFi protocols that will be interested in what these guys are doing, and they can find some synergy there. And we're talking about many billions of settlements, so it attracts more developers, but it also attracts existing DeFi protocols that can give some angle of collaboration to these fintech providers. So and it's something that other layer ones are actually not interested in this angle. So it gives us an advantage because we're pushing this in bear market while everyone is kind of depressed. So we're really like working hard to onboard these people as soon as possible. No, the supply hasn't increased. Is the standard inflation. Guys, you can also go on chain and see that the validators have all their coins there. So there is not really. I assume some of the people are afraid that the supply is somehow affecting like the secondary market where the token is trading. That is definitely not the case here, especially in bad times like this. You can easily go on chain and check that the inflation is the tokens that are created through inflation are actually just sitting there. They're not hitting any market. On the ledger side, the ball is on their side. We've been pushing them for some time. They approved the initial version of the Reef app on Ledger, but apparently they're still testing they're in the last stage of testing it, and then they will just approve it. So hopefully it will be done in the next month or two. I really want to see this live as well, but it's currently not in our hands because we've finished this extension maybe 6 months ago. From our hand, it's already done. Do Reef card payments have token burn function? They do not have right now, but we are working on like more features for the debit card, like cashback mechanisms and burn functions, etc. I think we'll have something like this out probably the first quarter of next year. Andrea, yes, regarding the stablecoin, we are currently discussing two potential mechanisms to have this. What we want to do is we want to unify the like few major stablecoins, for example, BUSD, USDC, and then if a user has, let's say, BUSD or USDT or USDC, we want to have a single stable coin on Reef that will eventually be connected in the background through this in a very transparent manner, so that we are not issuing, we are not doing anything, we're just helping to simplify the ecosystem. Because if you see some ecosystems, they have like three stable or four stable coins, but they each of them has like three or four different of wrapped versions. So it's like 16 stable coin instances, and this is what we are trying to avoid. That's why it took some time for us to figure out which will be like the core team supported stablecoin, and we are working on a few solutions that I think the users will like. All right, Irfan, I cannot talk about the price. We are the market. There's the market is doing its thing. What our job is to focus on improving the ecosystem, on scaling the company, etc. So we don't really have influence over the market. Reefpad is in heavy development stage. We are again redoing it one more time, and we also want to integrate it with the wallet, so then the users go into a single place. And I think right now a lot of projects, they want to do like they want to raise money from like ecosystem funds and grants, and not go on the public market, because the public market is not very good for them. So what we are doing is we are working on like the best ideal platform out there, and then we want to launch it when the time is good, and by then we just want to keep improving it. So when we launch it, it's like a very very mature product. Yeah, also all these things that I was talking about, like the additional virtual machine, the random function, the ZK, the protect the users through like extension and stuff. These are all part of the Reef card upgrade, the new block explorer. So all of these are part of the roadmap. We are also posting like blog posts with our progress and what's coming. So I suggest users to follow that. So no, Benji, I think what happens is Binance has a lot of users, and part of the users tokens are proxied through Binance validators. So that Binance can allow staking into their exchange. So yeah, it's basically, let's say one of the Binance validator is purely their own, because they're also part of the Reef ecosystem, and the other validator is mostly from users that are holding the tokens on Binance, and then Binance help these users basically get rewards with just one click. So they do the heavy lifting. Binance needs to take the tokens on chain, they need to run a validator, they need to nominate themselves with the users tokens, and then they relay the reward back to the users. So yeah, and they're not just one validator. We have like many external validators. Uh, yes, ZK is in research stage. Correct. We are looking to tie this with the current EVM, but also with the upcoming virtual machine for Rust. So yeah, ZK will be. I think ZK is probably like I think let's say 8 to 10 months away from being in production. In case there is like a big innovation in the sector, that someone figured some of this, because this is super hard. This is like the whole blockchain landscape has been trying to implement like proper ZK for ages, but it's been extremely hard. And now there are some interesting angles that we are exploring, and we are confident that we can achieve. Yeah, we will see more validator slots in the upcoming months for sure. Regarding Polkadot, right now, honestly, we do not see the big advantage of becoming a parachain. We have if people followed, we do have a repository with our own parachain, which is not EVM. It's another unique thing that we built. But at this point, we just don't see how can we add value to Reef by becoming a parachain at this very moment. And if you've guys seen that we've climbed ranks on CoinMarketCap, I think Reef is soon going to be like the besides Polkadot and Kusama, probably like the biggest market cap wise substrate based project that's fortunately or unfortunately not a parachain, but it's bigger than all the parachains that like have like a Kala and everything. So we are like so that proves that our direction for not being a parachain now makes sense. Regarding some other DeFi protocols, we are talking to a lot. We are talking to like the best lending protocols and DEXs to also deploy. They're waiting on us for the stablecoin solution so that they can actually deploy their solution. But we have some of the big names lined up that will want to develop this. Last question I will take, actually two more. Uh, the fundraising, we currently don't have to do it, but we do have a lot of interest from like the very big tier one VCs, and we might consider it in the next few months. Um, but for now, we don't really need to do it because we are in a very good position right now. And someone asked if there is some upcoming new events. There are. Our team, as you guys seen, has been all over the place. We've been like Barcelona, like Paris, and we go to Singapore next, London, everywhere. So we're really present physically in all the biggest conferences. And next we are also going to India. We'll also be very present there. Then we're also increasing the number of reef only reef only events. So similar to how Avalanche did their own like big event, we are also preparing for this. Obviously, we are learning from the biggest ecosystems what worked for them, and we are positioning ourselves to become one of the biggest layer ones out there. Thanks everyone for following, and follow us on socials. And I strongly encourage you to start using the extension and eventually become testers and curators. So thanks again for following, and next time. See ya.